So now we have the onions, celery, carrots, aceitito simmering in the pot. You can hear it's cooking. They're getting soft and tender, a little caramelized. And now we're going to add some more ingredients. So what are we going to add? Well, if you look at our recipe right here, we're going to add the chopped peppers, cilantro, salt, and black pepper, and the water. So here's our cilantro. Here's our red pepper. Let's get those in the pot. Stir them in. Beautiful cilantro. Cilantro is fantastic. I love it. I love the flavor it gives to everything. I love the smell. There you go. See how beautiful that is? All right, so we're going to add those, and then we're going to add in our black pepper and our salt. So let's double check our recipe. How much do we need? We need a teaspoon of salt and a quarter teaspoon of black pepper. Here are our measuring spoons. So this one is a teaspoon. Here's the quarter teaspoon. And I'm going to measure those and put them in the pot too, and stir it and cook it some more until we get to our next step. And also, I think I have to add a quart of milk, or water, sorry. 1 quart of water. We gotta add that too. So I have a measuring cup that is a quart, and I'll use that. Pour in the cold water and stir. I've added the salt, the black pepper, and the 1 quart of water. So we are going to bring this to a boil and simmer it until that liquid has reduced by half. So that's gonna take a while. So that's probably gonna be about 20 to 30 minutes. So we're gonna turn up the heat and get that working. And so hopefully quickly that'll reduce, and then we're gonna add the rest of the ingredients and the other 3 quarts of water. Okay, so we're back. In the pot, I've got the soup base going, bubbling away, all right, and that liquid has to reduce. It's a quart of liquid, it's gotta reduce. We've got our onions, celery, carrots, peppers, cilantro, salt, and pepper. We're coming back over here. This is the kabocha squash. It's a Japanese squash, but it's actually used a lot in Latin Caribbean cuisine. Surprisingly. So it is a very hard squash, like the butternut. It's hard. So you need the big chef's knife and break it up into pieces so it's more manageable, all right? It has seeds also, so scoop them out. And these are nice big fat seeds. So actually I think I might clean them, roast them. And what you can do with them when they're roasted, like as a garnish, put it on top of the soup. Okay, so I use the peeler, I've peeled off the skin, and now I'm gonna cut this just like I cut the butternut squash. We're gonna cut it into small chunks, all about the same size as everything else, and then add it into our soup. So once that liquid has reduced by half, that's when we add all the rest of the ingredients, 3 quarts of water, and then continue to cook it for a couple hours until it is done. So again, we're gonna do 2 cups, just like the butternut squash. We've got the 2 cups here. So 2 cups of this will be the same amount. And all we have to do is put in the rest of the stuff, our green plantain, our yellow plantain, the yucca, the corn, sweet potato, butternut squash, kabocha squash, our white beans, and our new potatoes. And then cook it for a couple hours, and hopefully it'll be done beautifully. And then tomorrow, we're gonna make the cornmeal dumplings that go on top of it. So we'll recook it again, and the flavors will be phenomenal. All right, so I'll come back in a little while, and I'll show you how to do the rest of this. Thank you. Okay, so let's see. It's about a half hour went by. The liquid reduced by half, and then I added our additional 3 quarts of cold water. And as you can see, I have this measuring jug, and it's right there, 1 quart. Did this 3 times, and now this is how much we have in our pot, and we're gonna add the rest of the vegetables, okay? So this is our 2 cups of butternut squash, and then we're gonna add our small white beans, our corn. It's gonna look absolutely gorgeous, the corn in this soup. I love that. Our yucca, we're gonna add. Our plantains, the green and yellow plantains, which are starchy, and the kabocha squash, we're gonna add that. Looks gorgeous. And then we're gonna add our sweet potato. All these beautiful vegetables in this is gonna taste fabulous. Now, over here I've got my, here are new potatoes in the water. Remember, we had them in cold water so they wouldn't oxidize and turn brown or gray. So now we can strain that off, and we can add the new potatoes as well. Okay, get off all that extra liquid. And we're gonna add this into the pot too. It's a lot. So make sure you have a very large pot when you're making the soup, or you can cut the recipe in half and make it in a smaller pot. This does take a while to do, so it's probably better to make a large batch like this, and you can freeze half of it and use it at another time. So it's always good to save time by preparing ahead and having stuff in your freezer. So now this is going to take a couple hours to cook down, cook all these vegetables, reduce the liquid, thicken, and then again, like I said, tomorrow we are going to make the cornmeal dumplings that are going to go right on top of this absolutely gorgeous, beautiful stew. So again, this is our vegetable stew, our Puerto Rican vegetable stew, the sancocho. And we are making this because we're reading When I Was Puerto Rican by Esmeralda Santiago, and we're honoring the Puerto Rican food heritage that she grew up with. So it's gonna cook a while, and then you guys can see what it looks like when it's cooked down. Enjoy.